right? And to get them on the phone and get that thing fixed would be the thing. And start to actually fund that account to make sense of trading. That's way too low. $500, you need to get lucky. No. Rather, I should have traded Nvidia with that small account today. I should have just bought one put on Nvidia and just held on to that, like I did with my other account. Nvidia, short puts and scalp to the upside. That was a good trade today. All day long, it gave those entries pretty decent. Ajay, I can't hear you. What's up? You're not talking. Wow. Oh, like, F you, I'm gone. So the futures, they bounce off of this number today, and that's where I think the markets bounce to, and the markets have kind of pushed up towards the close, somewhere around here, I think. And we know this pattern very well by now. uh, Goes outside of the Bollinger Band, hits whatever it is hitting, and starts to push back up, runs back into the mean. This is a pattern, very very well known sort of a pattern here. Same thing to the upside, goes upside and hits something and comes right back down to the mean, and the mean breaks and pushes down. So this pattern is very sort of very consistent with what we do. And last night, I think, right here in the morning, I think. So uh, while charting in the morning, we were looking for. Give me a second. Let me get my chair. Okay. All right. So put this thing. Features are still holding on to this support line here, and features break. Features broke and held onto its 200. I think that is still continuing. We will see what happens to the futures when this supporting line breaks. For now, it looks like we're holding that supporting line, and the futures are getting oversold here. So I think a continued push into 44.17 is not out of the question. For that, of course, they need to break here and push into 44.17, and that would be a consistent pattern with this push up into the mean. And if mean clears, then we are looking for a push into this number here and beyond here. This is what we are watching. And if that happens, if futures clear the mean, then I think there's a clear shot at 44.13. This should be a ephemeral resistance here. And I think there's a clear shot at pushing into this number, 44.18 or something like that. Most likely by the end of this session, it will hit this 44.18, 44.19. So we'll reassess the situation here. Usually, it looks like there is enough ammo here to push into this number, but let's wait. The mean is sitting here for this one, 44.51. Will it push into that number? I don't really know. I don't really know about that just yet. And the noticeable thing here is that of course, the futures crossed their mean here and started to push back down. Now that is crossing below its 50. So this is something noticeable. And the second thing that you want to see is these two lines. 8 is starting to curl below 21. So yeah, this is what something that we need to be mindful of. Tomorrow, I think it's a PPI number again. I'm not sure. Uh, let's make sure that you see that data. April is today. Where's tomorrow? There. So core PPI is tomorrow. PPI, this numbers. This is what we're watching tomorrow. So before market, I think that this will. I don't know. These days, it's kind of very hard to figure out which way the markets will push with the data points. Today was supposed to be a down day with core PPI, but it seems like because the markets were so contracted, many of the stocks had inside days, so the market just needed a reason to rally. I was expecting that rally to happen yesterday, but that did not happen. Today we bounced into that mean and came right back down. So let's see how it fares tomorrow. And This is the chart. So this is failing right now. Let's split this thing actually. About here, and this couldn't reach the mean here. Mean is failing right now. The mean did not happen, and it bounced off of some level here. It did not actually go back down to this number. I was expecting a push down into 43.58. Clearly, futures did not do that. Futures bounce off of this number right about here. So I should have watched this thing happening, but I did not. But nonetheless, that's what happened to the futures. And we are still below the mean on the weekly, it's still below the mean on the daily. Now to the other side of things, SPX. Weekly SPX, we are still below the mean. This is, if you're bear, if you're short the market, this is an encouraging sign. And obviously, we were expecting this to come back down. It did come back down. This is the number it was supposed to hit today. It did not hit this number yet. So 43.60s are still still out there. Still out there. This needs to happen. 43.65, 43.64, whatever this number is, this needs to be tested, and I believe it will be tested unless bank earnings come in good. That's the only scenario I see that it might reverse and push up back into its mean right here. It can clear this number, it will push up into this number 45.08. Uh, I don't believe it's going to happen tomorrow itself. 100 points move on the SPX, but still, so the base case to the upside would be here 44.49 or 44.50. Tomorrow, of course, we'll reassess the situation. If the market, if the futures open higher, then obviously we will readjust this whole setting. But this will act as a lot of resistance right here, 44.50 area. And tomorrow to the upside, this is my base case. If the markets were to open right where we are right now, then this base case is 44.50. Don't believe the markets would open better than this number. But we will see. But my understanding right now is the markets will not open better than this number. This will act as a real solid resistance. If it does actually clear up, then we'll look for a test of this thing. I don't believe there's a urgency for the markets to push into its weekly mean. We'll still keep an eye on that. That's on the weekly side of things, and on the daily side of things. Yes. So this is still showing as a sell signal right here, but the thing that I'm watching is the technicals here, especially Williams R. It's gotten way stretched to the downside. I think it is itching for another pushback up and then perhaps move down. Keep an eye on this thing. This is not resolved. This is nowhere near to be resolved. This is one of the more reliable indicators. Most likely a push up, again a push down. So if you want them, if you want to see the markets changing the trend or whatnot, this is the indicator that you want to be seeing. Right, the red, at least the red, maybe one more red here, then pale red, and then push up into green back to normal. But this needs to resolve itself. If as long as this is crossed to the downside, you cannot expect the markets to push up. And I think, yeah, 4360 needs to happen. This is the second standard deviation. This, so to the upside, base case would be not here, but on this line. 4450 is the base case to the upside, and 4360 is the base case to the downside. Of course, we will narrow this range down. That's a 100 point, rather 90 point range. Tomorrow we will narrow this range down to, we'll go down to the 1 hour chart and we'll figure out what's going to happen, what are the immediate numbers it's going to hit. 4460, 4425. So if you can narrow this range down here, so 4425 seems like another spot that can be tested. And to the upside, you can say this is the base case. And right now, if the markets were to open right now, right here, so this would have been my base case, 4422. But then this would have been a nice to have, 4460. To the downside, we are still expecting this number to hit 4460, sorry, 4360, and then a push into this number, 4342. This is what we're expecting. It's getting over, so that's fine. So tomorrow we will reassess the situation based on this chart. Right now the futures are bouncing off based off of this number here, based off of this chart. Let's split that thing. Thanks. Candles here. So futures bounce somewhere around here, and with that, this also bounced. And obviously, it was supposed to go hit this number. It did hit this number for technicals, and most likely, if you go back and test this number here, 4422. So, yep, Heikin-Ashi versus regular candles. Don't want to miss out on the data point, so that's the reason I've started to use this. Now, so for tomorrow, this would be the base case. Right now, if the markets were to open here, this would be the base case, 4422, based on 1 hour chart. If you're trading short term, this would be your base case. It will get a hit and then a push back down. And if it clears here, then we'll look for a push into this number, 4433. If it clears there, then we'll have a clear shot at 4488, 4448. And about 4460 should be it. This should be it if markets were to open now. but we will reassess the situation in the morning. Markets might open actually here tomorrow, 44.20. The way futures are going, the most likely opening will be around here. And then again, the same thing will run up into its mean on the hourly and push back down. So today, pre-market, this is what we are charting because we were oversold here. A hit about yesterday, it was hitting here, and we know this by now very clearly. Getting oversold, hitting a major moving average, pushing right back up into its mean. So I wasn't able to chart 40 beyond 44.70 today. We said, let's reassess the situation after we hit the mean on the hourly. And I'm saying the same thing today. Let's go test this thing today. If, when the market's open, 44.22 to be the base case. If that clears, the mean is sitting right here at 44.40. Let's round that up at 44.50. And if it really breaks above here, most likely it should probably end up here, 44.60. 44.60 will act as a solid resistance. If the markets kind of push back down based on PPI, and this is the number I'm looking for, 44.60 for 44.60 is basically. We will reassess the situation here. And what if this breaks? Then here, 42.78. That's a long while ago. That's a long while from here, but still it is sitting there. 4,300. I don't see anything that's stopping here now. Yeah, pretty much there is, no speed bump or anything pretty much to the downside now. 4,300. If it breaks here, then yeah, 4,300, 43.20, whatever, give or take 4,300. Take care, Brad. Catch you later. All right, so that's the plan with SPX. A lot is riding on the bank earnings, and banks look weird at the moment. I am not really liking. I am still long FAS. I should have exited that trade today towards the highs into the momentum, but I held on to that position for whatever reason. I have sold calls on that, so I think I'm still okay there. But that is not good trading, if you will. Uh, I should have exited that position into momentum. And Netflix, this thing. Well, anyways, we'll talk about this later when it starts to make sense. But Netflix is one of the ones that is particularly vulnerable to the downside as this number pushes up. As this number pushes up, Netflix will get particularly vulnerable to the downside. And this number expectation from this number is to come back down to 2.5. Again, last night we were talking about this. We got a little bit of push down on this number. Where is that? US 10-year. 10-year. So still this needs to happen. I think this needs to happen. Right here, it hit that hit the 5 because it left its 5. The theory holds true that it needs to come back down to its 5. Hit that 5 and pushed up. Uh, and this is the exact thing that I'm expecting for the markets to do on the upside. Williams R is pushing down on the market, so it will have to come back down, hit, and probably push back up. So this is what I'm expecting the markets to do. Let's see how that works out. And if it breaks below here, which it looks like an impossible thing to do right now, but it needs to come back down to 2.71 at least, or this needs to push up to 2.71. or somewhere in the middle of things, right about here, 2.72. That wouldn't make a whole lot of difference. Uh, like this coming down today, uh, that should that should in theory bode well for the banks, but banks are not doing well. So keep that data point in mind as you are trading. This is pretty consistent. Let's see what happens around here in 2.76 area. Uh, I think there is enough ammo still, technically speaking. There is still ammo left for it to push above this thing and go into 2.77. So another short idea was a UPSD, and I think this is still a good short idea after the upcoming bounce. It probably will push into 85, something like this here, 8508. And if there is, I think there is kind of, it's getting overbought, oversold here, most likely will push into 8590. And after that, I think it should resume to the downside. Today, which was the one that I was trading? This one, NVIDIA, sorry. NVIDIA. This was a clean trade today. This was a very clean trade today, NVIDIA. I was expecting a 215 or something on NVIDIA to the downside. Let's see. Uh, Better than 215 actually. It went below 215 at some point. And why was I looking for 215? And the way that I played NVIDIA is first I bought puts on NVIDIA because we were expecting a downside. And then after that, I was playing to the upside throughout the day. Right here. This is the reason I was looking for. So we knew we had, it doesn't show up on the regular or the high Kanachi candles. And these data points are showing up on the regular candle. So that's the reason I'm keeping these two candles side by side. Here is the bounce point I was expecting for NVIDIA. It came right back down till here. It hit this bounce point, bounced a little bit, but then selling pressure increased and it came right back to its second standard deviation right here. I was in this trade till here, and I got stopped out, but this thing still went to its second standard deviation and pushed up from there. Looks like if there is a bounce in the markets, Nvidia would be one of the ones that will bounce. Pretty decent bounce. It should push into 215.45 first. Then if that clears, I think there's a clear shot at 218.50 for Nvidia. The mean is sitting at 218.50, and this is oversold here. And Nvidia being a high beta stock, this will move fast if VIX comes down. And this has left a gap here at some point in time. Either the technicals needs to come back down or the price needs to push up to the technicals. This will happen at some point in time. Not sure when. If this is still intact here, the downside on the MACD is still intact. But what am I looking for? Just a bounce is this one, this indicator, the Williams R. It is getting stretched to the downside. And also, if you look at the SMI bars, the SMI bars are kind of getting smaller. So based on that, you can pretty much expect a bounce, not a reversal, because MFI is still not telling that there is a oversold situation. If so, bounce. Why the bounce? Because of the short squeeze. That's the reason a bounce might happen. Not a reversal. Why? Because there's still a lot of room on the MFI side of things. It is not yet oversold territory. This third standard deviation is sitting about 202, 203 area, and this line is still waiting to be tested at 202, 203 area. This will get tested. Most likely, if the banks slip, this will happen, and you can look for a bounce here, a good bounce actually. You'll get at least $5 to $8 out of this bounce. After this bounce, most likely, this is where it will need to push down. Of course, depending on the bank's earnings, that's another caveat. And if it does come down to this level, it will rally into earnings, which is way away, but that's how I'm seeing it happen. If it comes down to this number, it will rally up into the earnings. And let's see if we can find another data point right about here. So this is going to be a good bounce spot based on this number, 202, 203, and then based on this number right about here. So this is going to be a good one. I think it will be a slow grind to the downside for NVIDIA. After that, we will look for a rally on NVIDIA. And I will play it the same way again. Look for a bounce, get puts, stay for the puts, stay calm for the puts to work out to the downside, keep on scalping to the upside. Same recipe again. 231 is still sitting here, might not happen, but on good bank earnings, 227 is what you can expect from NVIDIA. Tomorrow earnings for tomorrow. No. Here's the earnings calendar. Major news. Calendar. Maybe it's somewhere, it should be somewhere around here. But I don't know when are the earning calendar? Where's the earnings calendar? It should be somewhere. I prefer standard candles for short moves. Fibonacci for longer term. Yep. Tomorrow, pre-market. Wow, this will be a mover. This will be a statistic to watch, JPM, and not sure which way we are leaning on this one, but let's see. On any bit of good news out of JPM, I think the stock will push up into 135, and if that clears, then we'll push into 137 on any bit of good news. Like this is kind of getting overbought, oversold here. So based on this statistic, we can look for a push into most likely here 135, and then push into 136.90 or 137, somewhere around that number. Let's see what it's doing monthly. Monthly is still pointing down. A little late today. Have we done shop already? Not yet. 124.85 to the downside. There's 124.85 to the downside, and 135 to the upside, then a push into 137. This would be not the numbers. If you're playing earnings numbers, that's a separate thing. I'm talking about a bigger picture, and what is their commentary, and how's their guidance going to be like, and what do they see in the global trends. So that would be more valuable to us rather than just the stock price pushing up or down. Goldman Sachs, This will, I think, this still has to come back down to this number and test this number and push back up again into its 5. And this will keep happening. Let's see where the earnings day after. So day after, I think one more push into this number. I will be a buyer of this stock if it comes back into this number and hold for earnings. Any bit of good news will push this stock into this number, 333 or something like that, or to at least the minimum into 327, today's highs. So keep an eye on what JPM says tomorrow. I didn't get to trade this thing today. Should have traded it. Would have made a great trade. So this is the number we are watching to the downside, 313, and this is consistent with here, 313 to 311. So this is the bounce spot that we're looking for Goldman Sachs tomorrow. And if the numbers come from JPM, if the numbers from JPM come in good, and we are good to go and test 327 to the upside. So this is the range I want to be playing on Goldman Sachs about here. And if it clears here, the mean is sitting at 331. Don't think it's going to hit 331, but just in case, let's keep that number handy too. Which was the other one? Sharp. Sharp still has, I think, there's still room to the downside for Sharp. I don't see a reason for Sharp to kind of push up, but if you see this thing, this is kind of ready to cross over on the weekly. And if this crosses over on the weekly, and if you have oversold conditions here, I think it will start to push back up into its 8 or 5, and then push up into its 8. I should have played this thing today, but I did not. I think I'm very much concentrated on the overall markets. Yeah, yeah, Nate. Yeah. No. Yeah, bedtime, and then don't really take those thoughts into your bed. So, don't carry those thoughts into your bedtime. Yeah. All right. Let's get with Sharp. And Sharp, I still think, after this downturn, if whenever, uh, pardon, what the fuck? Yeah, I have one share. Oh, man. 642 is again a real possibility for Sharp. 642 or 644, whatever this number is, it's a real possibility for Sharp. And if you're if you're wanting to trade Sharp, wait for this crossover to happen on Sharp. And once this crossover happens on the MACD side of things, I think it will bring in a lot of buyers for Sharp.
Hey Dark, I have a question.
Wow, that was scary.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So I have the little I don't know what it's called. It's the thing at the bottom that looks like a pool, I would describe it as. But I don't know what it's for. I forgot.
That did not come out right, Seth.
I know, I'm sorry. It's the okay, so the
Uh,
other chart you had pulled up, it's like right under the volume.
on this chart,
Um,
the monthly chart,
yes, the one right there with the green, it kind of looks like a curved at the
this
bottom. No, it's like I
This
don't know.
one?
No, below, like lower. The
Or this
one, yes,
one?
that one. Sorry.
Yeah, this is SMI indicator. This is just another, this is an enhanced version of this. I just keep it on to see, how far or how deep is the move to the downside. Basically, it is this thing, same thing. This is
Okay.
much better than this. So I just keep it on to understand how far or how deep is the pullback.
Okay. Got you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, and if you're a guy, I had a very nice, nasty one for you. A very nasty comment, but uh, and I think sharp to the downside. I think 586 will be tested, and if that breaks, I think this will be tested 567. Uh, for now, I'm not seeing a whole lot of downside to sharp as of where things stand. Uh, when I say not a lot downside, that is relative, and 567 is a real possibility still on sharp. So that is about another good 30 points to the downside, perhaps 27 or 23, 25 points. Let's round it up to 30 points to the downside. Look for a first bounce here, 586. If that breaks, we are looking for 577, 567. Let's go down here. It left its 5 on the week on the 4 hour, so this needs to get filled. Some either this needs to come down or this needs to push up. Right now, the way things are looking, I think it will kind of push up into 597 or something like that. Not a big move, but still a move. Let's see this thing. Let's go down a little bit further. Anchor charts kind of getting oversold here. So we will wait for this thing to push up, a crossover for sharp. So the Williams R is the one that is pushed down, and it needs to get resolved. Just like it was pushed up here and it got resolved here, and the same exact thing needs to happen the upside now. So 599, I'm not expecting it to push up all the way to 599. For now, at least, let's look for 596 to 598, somewhere in the middle of the range. And if there is momentum building behind this number, at this point, it is still not building here, but technicals are technicals. They need to get resolved, and it will get resolved. Most likely, around here, this number, 597 area, it will get resolved. And if there is momentum, enough momentum in Williams R and SMI, then 600 and then a 604. We will reassess the situation here. By the way, the mean is sitting at 613. That would be a bit of a stretch right now where things are standing. We'll look for a base case of 599 to 600, and the good to have would be 604. Of course, we'll reassess the situation in the morning. Starbucks, Snow, Roblox, Costco. Okay, shop. Do the VIX towards the end of the session. So Sharp got overbought here, and obviously a bounce is in order. So this is the pattern I trade pretty much heavily. So when I see the 5 or when I see the 15 leaving its moving average, so there's a very good chance it's going to go up and hit that 5. If you get lucky, it will go into based on momentum, not if you get lucky, but based on momentum, there's a good chance it will go and hit its 8. This is one of the ones that I usually play very often. And to the upside, it would, in a bull market, this means a certain reversal In a bear market, this is something that you can look for a scalp. And if you find this the opposite of this setup in a bear market, that is a short. Sell your house, sell your kids, sell your cars kind of short, and put all that money into this kind of short to the downside. Uh, so 5, it is still pointing to 605. Let's see how this plays out. Let's chart snow. Snow. What happened to snow? It was a high flyer, got screwed. No. Alright, so I think snow is getting oversold here again, and the momentum is still behind it. So the push into 229 is sitting there. If the market pushes further into this number, so the base case 218. 218 is a base case. It is clearly sitting there and will get tested again. If on the slightest bit of a bounce, it will get tested 218. If that clears, then a very clear shot at 226, or that's yeah 226. This is uh, this is pretty much sitting there. And for Heikanashi, it's a 220, 220, 57, and then push into 223, the first standard deviation on the weekly. It is hitting the mean. It did hit the mean today and came right back down from that. And this pattern will continue, I think. So it's here. And of course, a lot depends on the Nasdaq for this stock. And I think there's enough ammo behind it right here to push the stock into this number one more time to 214, and then a push into 217. And if the theory holds true that if it enters this zone, then there's a good bit of chance that it's going to go up to this number here, 225. So let's watch for snow. I think there is upside, and of course, data dependent. Tomorrow is PPI and bank earnings, data dependent. But if the data comes in good, or if the market deems the data to be good, whether the data is good or not, but if the market deems the data to be good, then we have a clear shot at the mean again, and then a push into 225. Most of it would be short covering as well. And if you want to go a little lower time frame, get another computer and another TV. This is it. You want to lower time frames, I think this is still a possibility here. But let's take one step at a time. This will act as a resistance now. 214 or something. I think it will clear that resistance and then a push into the mean again. So 214, 218. These are the numbers it will go by. It's super trend and came right back. Stop put here. Thing. There's still a bit of downside, I think, on the 1 hour chart. But this chart needs to get resolved. Uh, this chart needs to get resolved, and the 211 will be tested right at the open. I think 211.67 will be tested right at the open, and most likely should clear, and then we'll look for an upside for snow. Roblox. This has been beaten down pretty bad, and I think I am still looking for an upside for Roblox. And generally, software and whatever this is considered to be what, disposable income or something like that. These not this is considered, but these stocks are considered to be disposable income stocks, right? So I think, given what is happening right now, uh, the stock is behaving as though people will cut back on their uh, expenditure here. Disposable income, yeah. Disposable income is something that you that you that the Fed is taking away right now. So yeah, when can I buy equity on a firm? Hutch is much more equipped to answer that question. Uh, Roblox. Roblox is one of these. It's a it's a buy. Actually, actually speaking, if you're not trading this thing, you can actually buy this and hold on to this. And why am I saying that? Because I follow this one. And this uh, there's not a whole lot of data to go by on the monthly time frame, but if I'm just going by what I'm seeing on technicals, this is the reason I like Roblox. Maybe leaps, perhaps, I don't know, but yeah, technicals need to get resolved on the lower time frames, especially on the 1 hour time frame. The moment it gets resolved, I think we can take a look at it again to push it into this number 45 something and then push into 47. This will keep happening because the technicals are telling you that there is, this is kind of oversold here. But SMI needs to be on your side if you're playing this game. SMI needs to be on your side. You see SMI going all the way down here, on especially on the weekly, and then you get involved at the first bar or the second bar, you'll get at least a couple more bars. Costco and Walmart and Kroger and Target, those are all in the same boat. Not yet, not yet. That's not the time for longs yet. But when the market will kind of see through all of this stuff from Fed and whatnot, and that I think there should be room to the upside. What do you mean by disposable incomes? So gaming and whatnot, right? After the essentials, whatever the money is left, that's when people spend money on that kind of stuff. So movies and feel good stuff and all that kind of things. This was supposed to come back down just like UNH. I did not get to play UNH even today. It was a clear shot, but clear short, but I didn't play that thing. And this has to come back down to this number, 572. It will happen. It will happen. 574. All right, 574. Whatever this number is, it has to happen. It has to come back down to this number. I don't doubt that at all. Uh, right now, the way why it should come down, because the technicals are pointing down, and if the technicals are pointing down, that means the chances of the averages moving up are less, and the price moving down are more. And a couple of days back, we were charting for this Costco to come back down. Exactly, that's what it did. So it left its five. So there has to be, some sort of average that it is holding on to, that the price should hold on to. I mean, right back inside, hitting the third standard deviation, come right back in. right back in, and I think it should push into this number tomorrow. The downside 576. Should that break, the mean is sitting at 571. This should be a bounce spot. 572 to 570 range. It will bounce, no question there. And of course, depending on the market, if the market pushes down, the commentary from the banks is no good. 563 is what we are looking for on Costco. I think the same case can be made for Walmart as well. There, so Walmart needs to come back down, but Walmart has an advantage, and that is number here. So it has made a solid base here. It took a while for Walmart to kind of clear that and push up. And so it will come back down this number and it will look for a bounce around here. So Walmart bounce. If that breaks, right here. And watch for this gap to be filled on Walmart again. So Walmart will bounce here a couple of times and then most likely it will push into this number unless this number actually comes up, which I don't see happening. So the base case you can make is 152.20, good dollar to the downside. Right at the open, this should happen. And then if that breaks, this is what is waiting, 150.76. Most likely a bounce here, depending on the market. And if the market is pushing down, this bounce will be an ephemeral bounce. Then we'll push into 148.33. This is how it will play out for Walmart. And what was the other one? Starbucks. Starbucks. And there was another one. BlackRock. Got it. This is one of the more, I think, the safest bet, if you will. Uh, and getting oversold here. Uh, uh, Nothing exciting about this stock per se. It is getting pushed down into its 52-week lows with the market, and this is again a disposable income story. This is again a disposable income story, and I don't know if I want to go down that path or not. But the makeup of American population is changing. Right? So you have to take into consideration that one as well. That is a longer term story, of course. That is for investors. But for trader like you and I, we don't really need to get involved into that. But otherwise, this stuff, Starbucks and all that, I don't think it's gonna, I definitely don't think this model is something that is sustainable, given the times that we are in, and given the population or what is that called? What is the right word for that? Not population, but I don't know. There's a right word for that. Uh, uh, but then what I'm trying to say is this was probably good for old America. This is not good for this kind of business model is not sustainable for new America. New America is not looking for except expensive lattes and whatnot. I don't think so. I don't believe so. And I think this kind of stuff used to be a recession-proof sort of a model, if you will, because people used to kind of even during the recession they used to buy a cup of Starbucks just to make themselves feel better or whatnot. I don't think that's going to happen this time around. If there is no revenue, if there is no, I think their revenue will, get uh, tight to say the least. Yeah, women do like Starbucks, and it's the same thing like Lululemon or whatnot. Uh, and I think that will change. I think that will change. and upcoming recession will test these models. Don't get me started with Lulu. The upcoming recession will test all of this stuff. It will test this. This model will get tested. This model will get stressed. But for now, what I'm seeing, most likely this will bounce with the upcoming bounce in the markets. There is the SMI building up to its side. I think it will start to pull back into its five again. Uh, a whole lot of bounce? No, not a whole lot of bounce, but definitely an ephemeral bounce. The technicals are getting stretched. It is international, yeah. PJ Long, yeah, ephemeral bounce and then push down for Starbucks. I think this is where it is headed into. Uh, Most likely a push here, push up into 84 or something, then it resumes into 70s and probably upper 60s. And this is the way it will go. And the recession or upcoming, down patch will test this stuff. And any model that is based on, uh, expensive food. Uh, Again, disposable income. That's where I'm going with this. Disposable income will get tested. This is one of the better ones, and so I was sharing my charts with someone, and they made fun of this thing. Um, you're welcome, sir. They
You
made fun
hang
of
out
this
with a
stuff.
bunch of people with a filthy mind.
Yup. Okay, so let's see VLK, and I think it will come back down. This is a solid company, by the way, and I think it should test this number again, 685 whatnot. This will be tested. Earnings tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Pre-market. Usually banks report pre-markets. And on any given good news, on any bit of good news, this will rally. The stock will rally on any bit of good news. And I think it will push back into 730. I want to say 730, yeah. And 734. This is my base case on good earnings, and it has left at 200 or 100 here. So I think there's a good bit of chance that it's going to go hit this number, and if the market continues to push up, then I think it would push into 742. To the downside, 608. I don't think it's going to happen so quick that it's going to go down to 600 or whatnot. I don't believe this story right now. And BlackRock is one of those behemoths that if it pushes like $100 in a day, then there's going to be a lot of selling in the markets if that happens. If this scenario repeats, there will be a huge selling in the markets. I don't believe that's going to happen. And Williams R is kind of stretched out. And probably a day, one more day of selling, and if it comes down to this number around here, 690 should be the down, the 696, 695. This is the base case to the downside. Yeah, if the numbers are bad, I think this it will come back down to 695. And if the numbers are good, I think it will push into 729 and then a push into 733. This is how it's going to go. I am not playing earnings, but if I were to play earnings, this is how I would have played it. It doesn't even have key points on market sentiment, direction of market. Tomorrow was little. No, no. Can't. Generally downside. Better to look at it. The AM though, yeah. So AM tomorrow is CPI. No, not CPI. What am I talking about? PPI. So this is what I'm watching for tomorrow. One. So PPI data is tomorrow. I don't think this will affect a whole lot, but if you're trading any home builder stocks or home builder index or whatnot, then you should be watching this number. Besides that, I don't think it's going to happen. It's going to have a meaningful impact on anything tomorrow. This number will start to make sense around the end of summer. This is what you want to watch for. End of summer. After summer, how's the housing market going to look like? This is the one that you want to be watching. Tomorrow, PPI 830, core PPI 830. So this is the number that will affect the markets tomorrow. Most likely, if it is anything which is logically thinking, I think they should dent the markets. But if not, many of the stocks are kind of, or the market itself is kind of coiled down for a push up. So most likely this will be an excuse for the markets to buy. And why would the market push up? Because of the short covering rally. So that needs to happen. Besides that, I don't see anything tomorrow. About 10:30 is the EIA. I don't think this will matter a lot because of the war situation. Anything else you guys are watching for tomorrow? It's you and BJ. But, all right. I think BJ needs to come back down. Right? It's getting stretched. It's getting stretched, and same thing with the Costco and whatnot. This thing trades similar to uh, Costco, and it has left its 5 here, and this similar situation will need to happen. Come back down and test at 64 or something. I don't think this is a market move or whatnot. I don't believe this will generate any bigger moves. Chance I can make that happen. 50 shares max. Okay. You see, the problem is I'm married. I don't know how's that a problem, but hey. UPS. I think all of these companies like UPS and FedEx and whatnot, they are experiencing some sort of a slump for whatever reason. Here it was bouncing today again, and I think yesterday Ed was asking me to look for this thing, and we were looking for a push down right about till here. I think after this ephemeral bounce, there is still a downside, 182 or something. When are the earnings? Earnings are 26th. Okay, so I think it will come back down into this number, 182, whatnot, and a good test of this will be here, 179. Let's see. Something. Oh, well, yeah, looking for a bounce actually based on this chart, and the SMI is starting to push up. So if it can hit this number, or it is based on this number, if it is hitting this number, then based on this number, you can look for a push up into. I don't believe 198 is a possibility, but definitely the base case should be 192. Let's see here. Yeah, base case should be 192. Today it was hitting that number. Let's go back down a little bit. Here. So get at this number, push into this number, 188.66 or something, 188.60. Then push into this number, 189, and the mean is sitting at 190. So this is how it's going to progress. Why am I looking for an upside? Because this is oversold here. Also, this is oversold. So good chance that we will bounce. UPS will bounce tomorrow, and we will reassess the situation around 189. If it clears 189, then I'm looking for a push into 190.45. I think this April is generally one of the better months for the markets. Uh, let's go into here. So the slump is done, and then April is generally speaking one of the better months. Markets will push into April. So yeah, this is what I'm expecting. May usually it will correct, and then this is again besides March, September is another month where the second biggest sale, if you will happen. This year it's been different. We got this huge push down right at the beginning of the year. Coming right back into the mean here, 4507. I think at some point in time, maybe tomorrow, day after, depending on whatever the banks will do, I think this will happen. 4507, and this push into 4563 will happen. Welcome, Jerry. So this is what I'm betting on right now. I mean, there's no guarantees that will happen, but the chances of it happening are pretty bright. Let's look at the daily. How did that fare? Right about here. But this story is from the previous year. So this is April, and this is how April looks like. Take it with a grain of salt, but yeah, this is how April should generally behave. And this is consistent, I think, throughout the history of the chart. Here is April data. 2018 was, I mean, 2020, you can just discard that data because after the COVID crash, it just rallied into March, so you can discard that data. But here is the April data. This is what April does. This is consistent throughout. And this is the scenario that is being played out right now. A little early, but yeah, it is. This is how it is playing out. Here, good one. 2018, I think April 2018 was a little tough year, but still stocks came out on top. The stocks were still up. Let's see how this plays out. Historically speaking, it is still a good month, but let's see.
Gesundheit.
All right, guys. So swing short. Thank you. Thank you, Dom. Thank you, Brian. Why are you shorting this thing? Why are you and I think this whole healthcare and pharma sector looks to be in demand. So if it's this second April second, yeah, yeah, yeah. All crap needs to happen. Yeah, looks like I think Mark is not a big mover, so yeah, good dollar to the downside on Mark. Rockets 5, Rockets 8, sitting somewhere around here. So let's see how it fares around this number, 83 or let's say 84. A good dollar, dollar and a half to the downside on Merck. And then after that, let's see if it can push down into its 82.50. Mean is sitting about here, 82. Let's round it up at 82.50. So yeah, there's a good bit of downside for Merck too. Yep. Yep. This is a very consistent pattern, right? The stock leaves its 5 and comes right back down to its 5, comes right back down to its 8. With that break, it will go and test the obviously. This is where it is headed. Maybe an ephemeral bounce here, but then after that, I think it should push down to this number. Right, let's stop this here, and we will be back at it. Let's get back at this thing tomorrow again.